All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us live on YouTube. And we're live.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2021 Older New Yorkers Outstanding Volunteer Recognition Program. I'm glad you could join and recognize these two very valuable individuals to the Tompkins County and to their individual communities as well. While conditions haven't allowed us to honor Lisa and Margaret in person, we're very happy that we can recognize their contributions to Tompkins County and the areas they live in. My name is Charlie Hart, and I'm the chair for the COFA Advisory Board this year. With me is Lisa Monroe, who's the director of COFA, and Karen Bullis, who's the deputy director this afternoon. We are pleased to have hopefully Stacy Enos from the Office of Assembly Member Anna Kells with us this afternoon. We also have Kelly Quinn and Beth Harrington, who will be doing some presentations. And most importantly, we have Lisa Gould and Margaret Snow here this afternoon. And I'm sorry, Allie Evans is here too. She's the executive director for the FoodNet Meals on Wheels. I guess at this point in time, I will turn it over to Lisa Monroe, who has some information to share with everybody.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to kind of go over the overview process of how we get to the selection of our candidates today. Typically, a subcommittee of our advisory board will meet together. One who's here with us today, Bill Lesser, and another one, Patty Stam, couldn't join us right now, along with some other folks are part of a committee that meets and goes over the nominations that we receive every year. There was 7 nominations this year, and out of them, I that was some difficult decisions for everybody, but came up with what we thought was the most recognizable volunteer outstanding contributions this year. So we're happy to have you guys, and I think we'll go right into talking about the nominees rather than listening to me.
All righty, well, we'll start out with Kelly Quinn, who has some information to share about Lisa Gould.
Hi, thank you for having Lisa and I, having all of us here today. And we're just thrilled that COFA, our partner agency, our parent agency, took the time to read our nomination. I should give a shout out to somebody that's not here that helped me with this letter, Jessica Gosa, our former executive director. So this is such an exciting opportunity to sing Lisa's praises because we absolutely love her. I count her as a dear friend of mine. So Lisa is, she's been a volunteer with us for 5 years. Am I correct, Lisa, or has it been longer than that? Lisa Gould.
She's shaking her head. Yes.
Yes. I'm reading off the paper. I'm not multitasking as good as I could. Our Lisa has been a consistent presence at FoodNet Meals on Wheels in our greater community as a volunteer, advocate, and ambassador of our programs. For these 5 years, she has been a go-to volunteer who's provided hundreds of hours of service. We can't even count how many hours of service. She's supported many efforts that we've had at FoodNet, and I've had the pleasure of working alongside her when I've been down at Titus Towers when we were in person serving people in our dining rooms. She's an ambassador for the program, and helping people come on, screening people in her building that would be good for having both home delivery and coming to the congregate program. Lisa's also been a fabulous support for our Cornell University dietetic interns and with a video dining project that we continue to work alongside them with. She's been a companion diner with other Meals on Wheels participants that's been able to help us do some important research on the social effects of nutrition on when you're eating by yourself. Lisa and I she was an integral part of our diabetic cooking series project that we did a few years ago. She helped me find people. I don't know that we could have done the program without Lisa. She actually helped me recruit people in the building that would be great for that program. And it was so successful, and we loved having her be part of it. And she like came to the class, helped clean up. I mean, she was definitely an integral part of that. The program never would have been successful if it wasn't for Lisa there. Lisa approaches her volunteer work with integrity, creativity, and enthusiasm. Our participants oftentimes share with us that they feel safe and secure when they're with Lisa. She's a nurturer that always puts others above herself. She's there for community members when they need comfort or compassion. As I mentioned, she's a mentor. All the different interns we've had, she's trained them, and they've learned so much from her about what's going on in the Ithaca community. And let's just say that she's not just a volunteer for us, she's a volunteer for other great community resources, such as her church. She sings in the choir. She makes sure the people have access to the Tompkins County Public Library, Gadabout, the mobile food pantry. I'm sure there's many others that I don't even know about. During the pandemic, Lisa's volunteer resources really became highlighted to us. She was able to help us serve people in their homes in these, kind of trying circumstances when we were doing contactless deliveries. Some people might call her an essential worker, but our participants call her their lifeline. She embodies the mission and vision of what we stand for here at FoodNet Meals on Wheels. Her commitment to the program has helped us to rapidly respond to the needs of our clients during these uncertain times. I guess I'd just like to conclude with that we were fortunate to actually hire Lisa to become our site manager when the previous site manager retired from the position. And it was just she was a godsend as usual. She provided a seamless transition to the program. Her leadership and commitment to FoodNet Meals on Wheels will help us continue to ensure that all of our older adult neighbors here in Tompkins County can live without hunger and isolation. So I am, beyond thrilled to be here and to be able to recognize all the important work Lisa's done as a volunteer in the community. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Lisa, would you like to share some thoughts?
Oh, goodness. This is still a shock. I remember, it's one of those things. I remember where I was when I received the call from Karen. I happened to be going into Tops downtown, and I was thinking because Office of the Aging had been doing some calling and checking in with Titus Towers residents, of which I'm also a tenant. And so I was thinking it was one of those calls where a wellness call, that's what it was called. And so I thought that's what it was. And then I had to have her repeat herself, when she told me what she was really calling about. It's like, what? So thankfully there was a bench right nearby that I could go and have a seat. But I'm just very humbled by this. And, I just love what I do. And, especially when I started out as a volunteer, I saw a notice on our board, them needing volunteers. And I walked in the kitchen and at the time, Linda and Faith, who were the site manager and co-site manager there, were overjoyed because they really needed somebody. And the timing was excellent. And so I was trained to do, every aspect of the kitchen and also the dining service and then home delivery as well. But I just love connecting with the people, and even with the times that we're in right now, the creativity that FoodNet has done to ensure that we're still able to meet the needs of food and continued food security for our older seniors. So I'm beyond humbled, and I thank Kelly for not putting me up for the nomination. And glad to share it with Margaret.
All right, well, thank you. Talking about Margaret, Beth, do you have some thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Thank you. And again, echo Kelly's sentiments about being able to be here and having these recognitions go forth. And I will tell you, Karen just asked me to read the nomination letter. So I always do what I'm told. So I'm going to read that. And after that, I could go on forever with the praises and the great thoughts I have about Margaret. But my letter is, as a past recipient of this award, I know the honor and recognition that goes along with it and how humbling it can be in joining the ranks of past outstanding volunteers. Last fall, very unexpectedly, I found myself in the position not only of board president, but also in that of interim executive director of a local nonprofit agency, an agency like many others struggling during the pandemic. What became my salvation in stepping into these roles was a woman serving as board vice president who also agreed to be, co-interim executive director with me. Margaret Snow is her name. Although I never had the privilege to work with her before joining the board of Suicide Prevention and Crisis Service, I have learned what passion and commitment she can offer to any organization. I have since learned that she is also a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, as well as a past volunteer for hospice care for over 10 years. You can imagine the many daunting responsibilities faced by any nonprofit executive director during these times. But Margaret, without hesitation, agreed to take them on as a volunteer. The hours she has put into this endeavor are countless. She has used her skills and talents for the benefit of the agency, along with a commitment to learn new skills needed for agency operations. I cannot overemphasize her volunteer value to this agency and its sustainability, and thus to our community. Please accept my nomination of Margaret Snow as a volunteer who has made a significant contribution to our community through civic engagement. And that really kind of says it all. I can't tell you how many hours Margaret gave to this endeavor. Without sharing those responsibilities, I'm not sure where this agency would be today. So I just am so thankful that she was here for us.
All right, Margaret, it's your turn.
I'm a little choked up. Thank you so much. I don't know, I was so surprised, like Lisa, when Beth called me up and she said, "You got an email from someone, don't delete it. It's not junk." So I dug it out of my junk mail and I said, "What?" I was shocked. Volunteering is something that I've done since high school. I was a candy striper, Girl Scout leader. It's just something that I just can't imagine not doing it. I talked to Karen. She was asking, what advice I would give for someone that wants to do volunteer work. And, I said, you don't have to do anything in an official capacity. Go outside in the ditch along your road and pick up trash, or just being a help to the community. Does not, you can't walk into a hospital and start, feeding somebody. You have to have, some credentials and some training to do certain volunteer work, but there's just so much to do, cleaning up the lakefront. It's just something that's, I guess, something I've always done, something, if we don't do it, who's going to do things like this? So I am beyond humbled, speechless. Thank you so much.
So at this time, I would normally call both of you up to the lectern in the front of whatever room we were in, and I would provide you with some certificates of recognition. Oh, you have them there. Okay, I stopped in the they let me in the front door, and I signed them for you. And We will be putting them in the mail to you, I assume, at the end of the day. It's a small recognition for all the hours and the efforts you've provided. It's just a sign of our appreciation and the other individuals in the community appreciation for everything you've done over the years. I think Stacy was supposed to be here from Anna Kell's office, and I'm not sure she is. So Karen, do you want to read the proclamation?
Absolutely. So we have received a proclamation for each of you from Assemblyperson Anna Kellis's office that I'm going to read to you. Whereas Margaret Snow has shown herself to be an exceptional and dedicated volunteer for almost 30 years, donating countless hours to roles in various community organizations, including fundraising as a member of Habitat for Humanity's Development Committee, where during the COVID-19 pandemic, she spearheaded a successful virtual Zoom gingerbread house competition, making home visits and compassionate end-of-life visits for hospice, along with providing bereavement calls to families after the loss of loved ones, as well as spending incalculable volunteer hours working alongside the Administration of Suicide Prevention and Crisis Service during the pandemic, helping them to sustain the organization and our community during that very difficult period. And whereas Margaret Snow has been honored by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging with the Outstanding Contribution by a Senior Award for 2021, now therefore be it resolved that the New York State Assembly, by its member, the Honorable Anna R. Kellis, does hereby recognize Margaret Snow as an outstanding citizen worthy of the esteem of her entire community in the great state of New York. You will be receiving these as well, just so you know. Okay. And for Lisa, whereas Lisa Gould has shown herself to be an exceptional and dedicated volunteer, exemplified by the hundreds of hours she has donated to FoodNet, including serving meals in the congregate program, providing home delivery for residents in senior apartments, continuing to faithfully deliver meals to Titus Towers residents during the COVID-19 pandemic, despite personal risk, supporting Cornell University's video dining project and volunteering in FoodNet's diabetic cooking series, for which she excelled in her contribution by helping connect participants with additional community resources long after they completed the course, as well as training students, interns, and volunteers, all the while volunteering and supporting other programs in the community, including the Mobile Food Pantry, Tompkins County Public Library, and Gadabout. And whereas Lisa Gould has been honored by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging with the Outstanding Contribution by a Senior for 2021, now therefore be it resolved that the New York State Assembly, by its member, the Honorable Anna R. Kellis, does hereby recognize Lisa Gould as an outstanding citizen worthy of the esteem of her entire community in the great state of New York. I'll just keep going. We also, if that's okay.
Do you want me to read one in between? Give you a
Sure.
break? Okay.
Sure, that's fine.
So, all right, I have to put some glasses on here, so bear with me. So we also received proclamations from Thomas O'Mara, and there are a lot of whereases in here, so bear with me. I'll try to work through them. This is commemorating the Tompkins County Office for Aging outstanding volunteer Margaret Snow. Whereas it is the sense of this legislative body to recognize the achievements and milestones of those outstanding organizations of our Empire State whose exemplary service make unparalleled contributions to the quality of life and vitality of local communities and the state of New York. And whereas Margaret Snow has volunteered in her community for nearly 30 years, and whereas a member of the Development Committee of Habitat for Humanity, Margaret has devoted her time and talents to raising funds for the organization, including adapting to the COVID-19 pandemic by spearheading the gingerbread house competition via Zoom as a new program for fundraising. And whereas, as a volunteer for hospice, Margaret visited individuals who were in a hospice and was a part of a group of volunteers who would sit with dying people that were otherwise alone. In addition to home visits, Margaret provided bereavement calls to families for 1 year after the loss of a loved one. And whereas during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, she took on the responsibilities of a nonprofit with suicide prevention and crisis service as a volunteer, where she spent countless hours and brought significant value to the agency and strengthened its sustainability and great service to the community. And whereas attendant to such concern, in full accord with its longstanding traditions, the legislature of the state of New York is justly proud to commemorate and celebrate all of the well-deserved citizens and institutions for making a difference in the lives of their fellow citizens. Now therefore be it resolved on this day, and in honorable acknowledgement of this esteemed occasion, New York State Senator Thomas F. O'Mara, on behalf of all the members of the legislature, proudly welcome this opportunity to express his collective appreciation, gratitude, and tribute to Margaret Snow as a Tompkins County Office for the Aging outstanding volunteer. One. And of course, we have another proclamation commemorating Lisa Gould. So where is the sense of this legislative body to recognize its achievements and milestones of those outstanding organizations of our Empire State whose exemplary service are unparalleled and make unparalleled contributions to the quality of life and vitality of local communities in the state of New York. And whereas Lisa Gould has volunteered with FoodNet's congregate and home delivered meal program for 5 years, with her efforts amounting to hundreds of hours of service, and has included serving meals in congregate program, providing home delivered meals for residents in senior apartments, supporting Cornell University's video dining project as a companion diner, and volunteering in FoodNet's diabetic cooking series project. And whereas specifically through diabetic education research, Lisa went above and beyond by helping to connect partners and participants and additional resources for diabetics in the community long after the course had ended. And whereas Lisa has also trained student interns and new volunteers in FoodNet's programming. And whereas through the COVID-19 pandemic, Lisa exemplified an outstanding volunteer, faithfully serving home delivered meals to residents in Titus Towers apartments. And whereas Lisa also volunteers and supports other programs in the community, such as Mobile Food Pantry, Tompkins County Public Library, and Gadabout. And whereas attendant to such concern and in full accord with the longstanding traditions, the legislature of the state of New York is justly proud to commemorate and celebrate all the well-deserved citizens and institutions in making a difference in the lives of their fellow citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved on this day, and in honorable acknowledgement of this esteemed occasion, New York State Senator Thomas F. O'Mara, on behalf of all the members of the legislature, proudly welcome this opportunity to express his collective appreciation, gratitude, and tribute to Lisa Gould as a Tompkins County Office for the Aging outstanding volunteer.
Finally, we have 2 more proclamations from Senator Helming that I will read here. Honoring Margaret Snow upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging. Whereas a great state is only as great as those individuals who perform exemplary service on behalf of their community, whether through unique achievement in professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenship. And whereas attendant to such concern, I, New York State Senator Pamela Helming, hereby honor Margaret Snow of Groton upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging. And whereas Margaret was designated as an outstanding volunteer for her 30 incredible years of outstanding volunteer work. And whereas Margaret has spent countless hours raising funds for Habitat for Humanity, and she did not let the COVID-19 pandemic stop her. Instead, she hosted a virtual gingerbread house fundraiser to continue to help the organization thrive. And whereas also volunteering for HospiceCare, Margaret made home visits to individuals on hospice, providing comfort and support to those individuals through their last moments. And whereas during the height of the pandemic, Margaret took on additional leadership responsibilities as a volunteer for the Suicide Prevention and Crisis Service. And whereas it is important that when individuals of such noble aims and accomplishments are brought to our attention, it is appropriate to publicly proclaim and commend them for the edification and emulation of others. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, New York State Senator Pamela A. Helming, congratulate Margaret Snow upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging, and be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be transmitted to Margaret Snow. We are honoring Lisa Gould upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging. Whereas a great state is only as great as those individuals who perform exemplary service on behalf of their community, whether through unique achievement in professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenship. And whereas attendant to such concern, I, New York State Senator Pamela Helming, hereby honor Lisa Gould of Ithaca upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging. And whereas Lisa was designated as an outstanding volunteer for her 5 years of outstanding work with FoodNet's home delivered meal programs, and whereas Lisa's efforts have amounted to hundreds of hours of service, including serving meals, providing home delivery for residents in senior apartments, supporting Cornell University's video dining project, and volunteering in FoodNet's diabetic cooking series project. And whereas through the COVID-19 pandemic, Lisa has faithfully served home delivered meals to residents in in Titus Towers apartments. And whereas Lisa has also spent time volunteering at Tompkins County Public Library and Gadabout Transportation Services. And whereas it is important that when individuals of such noble aims and accomplishments are brought to our attention, it is appropriate to publicly proclaim and commend them for the edification and emulation of others. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, New York State Senator Pamela A. Helming, congratulate Lisa Gould upon the occasion of being designated an outstanding volunteer by the Tompkins County Office for the Aging, and be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be transmitted to Lisa Gould.
Thanks, Karen. Lisa,
Sure.
did you have something else you wanted to share today?
Yeah, I wanted to let everybody know that typically when we're not in a pandemic, the older New Yorkers Celebration Day at the state level for NYSOFA would be, I'll have to read that chat in just a second, but it would normally be held in person in Albany. However, it was canceled last year, and this year they're going to do a virtual event. So in the next coming weeks, you're going to be receiving an invitation link to that event. It's going to be held Friday, November 5th at 1 p.m., where they recognize all the volunteers in every single county. Again, it's going to be a digital event. You'll receive also a package, an older New Yorkers package in the mail, if you haven't already, that will include a certificate from New York State Office for Aging. You'll receive a copy of the booklet, which will have your photograph in it, and you'll have also get a commemorative pin. So you'll be receiving that. And when we get the link, we will be sharing that with everybody too, so they can participate and watch Lisa and Margaret be recognized at the state level. So I just wanted to read the chat real quick. So we have Robin Day is chatting in. Sound familiar, Margaret? So it's Margaret's daughter, and she just wants to say how proud she is of her mom and for her many years of volunteer service in her community. And Beth also said so very well deserved. So thank you. That's great. So that's all I had to say, Charlie.
All righty. So I guess at this point in time, we can thank everybody for attending, and thank most of all Margaret and Lisa for everything they've done for our community. It's just amazing when you get to sit and listen to all of the hours and hours you have spent just out of the goodness of your hearts. And especially at this time, we need more people to share like you do. So it's not worth much, but I also want to share my thanks for everything you've done. And with that, Lisa, is there anything else we should do today?
No, thank you all. And we will share this with you. It will be posted on our YouTube page and on the county's YouTube page too. So you guys can share the link for anybody that you'd like to do that with. And thank you all for coming.